It's January 16th, 2022. It is a weird morning in the sense of there's just a lot of spin going on. Sat with Lynn and Lou. I don't always sit with Lynn and Lou to watch their Sunday morning programming. Today just universally, zodiac, astronomically lined up for me where they were not hostile eyewitnesses. They were just quiet, docile old people, which I much prefer. And Democrats and Republicans sitting side by side for a life frame. So their input, which means we're really like it's not negatable, but it's very independent. It's like a very independent audit, I would say. I mean, objectively, if I just look at ourselves, but in a medical journal format, because Lou's talking about something with Don Co., which linguistically, I'm like, does that have anything to do with Don Quixote? And he's like, no. And I'm like, what is a Don Quixote to you, human? And Lou, being a baby boomer generation, in the correct combination of click, says to me, something to do with, and then he gave me some pearls by accident, and my pearl earring was like, huh? And then I laughed and I said, I know you don't know why that's so significant. I was like, but I greatly appreciate your input. And so then he said something and he gets up and he says, I'm going to find it on Netflix before you leave the room. I go, yeah, all right. Again, taxation without representation, trying to bill me on something I don't know if I want to pay for. And then I look with one eye and I see on the TV, it says something about the family. But prior to that, there was some angry tax evaders in some civil war, and then they were trying to discredit my family, saying my family has mentally ill or mental illness runs in the family. I think that should be stricken from all records personally, because which mouthpiece is it coming from? There's a greater war in the atmosphere and solar system and whatever in schematic, but there's also a land war, which is scary as to who and how they're painting and portraying things. When I say it's a dis-ease, like a distension amongst the ranks, I have a higher footing than my parents in reality, based on the cosmic false witnesses I had to bring in by accidentally, in a 4 different perspective and genetic anomaly based on where the machine mechanics were when the sundial moved, an extraterrestrial type of way of explaining things. For certain non-disclosure project or prospect. So I don't know. Like they were saying I didn't live through, I wasn't here for all of the crime that was committed. I mean, I entered a crime scene that was already in progress, and was assigned, if we're talking like a cosmic Air Force, I entered a crime scene being New York in 1978, assigned, cosmically perhaps a way of explaining it, to 2 Democrats, being Lynn and Lou, But they made me stand up and pledge for my own safety and protection that I was in a republic for which I stand. And I made pledge to some unity flag, which is supposed to protect me, my rights, my family, my whatever, while I'm in this, feels like a crime scene. And it feels like it's still in progress. So then I just found out last night when the children went back from COVID in New York State, no less. The schoolhouse that's no longer flying a unity flag, and I don't know who to flag in order to ask for them to put it back or why they took it down. And I did tell my son Benjamin. He's my false witness, but he's as true as all hell. So I had to tell him they put up tiny little flags all around plastic, the front foyer when you walk into the school, Ben. I go, and now he's no longer pledging allegiance to a flag of United States of America. That's a problem. I mean, I'm in this crime scene. I'm witnessing these things. I don't know how to protect my witness status from all the whatever I walked into in New York that seems to be getting much worse. And I really don't see this like knight in shining armor gear coming in and like going, nope, you're part of the family. We gotta get you safety. Right, okay, shining knights in shining armor. I heard last night at Last Duel that Ben suggested they were in en français and then in Scotland, and it was 1383 to like 1386 catalog circus number. Kind of, sort of, and not really, like, I don't know. And, like, either way, like, I mean, the whatever and the whatever. So now, anywho, we were watching, there was something about eels, and I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. It was the grossest Sunday morning. It wasn't when they were like big snakes. I was like, that's gross. I wouldn't want to, not my cup of tea. But when they were tiny, microscopic, it's like, and then they're like, they don't know how they mate or enter the world. And I'm like, and my epidemiological connection to like, oh my god, the gross world of things. It's like, oh, is that one of those alien life forms that has to enter through a host? It grows and then it comes out in fecal matter and then enters an aquarian system and could grow to larger lengths than its original host could have hosted based on the habitual or the habitat that it was formed in. Is that a possibility? Because those little like tiny worms look like the ones that sometimes the humans grow internally, and like a parasitic type of a thing, and then oh my god, it was like really creepy gross. But it did have an overlay of another gentleman who said that sometimes like the answers in science just don't want to know. I agree with that. I just don't know, again, in a parasitic form, and then passing along the parasite into another habitat, and then it growing to some new length, size, and it grew a thicker skin, because now when the eels grow big, they're no longer translucent, and like where their innards, you can visually see their innards because they have like a translucent whatever. When they are growing in the wild, as they get larger, they tend to turn like a greeny, mossy black color, and then you can no longer see their innards because they've grown like a thick skin of some sort. That's whatever. But my more important conversation is, they made a mention of somebody called a Tony Dow, who apparently is the Leave It to Be the Beaver older brother. I wouldn't have ever known his name because I don't, again, go searching and stalking for the humans, but they made a highlight piece of him on the Sunday morning, this morning, the compilation. And so I was thinking about he looks a lot like Tiafrio does now, and familial genetics that are kind of similar. But so did the guy with the white mustache, different family member, but still looked like one of Tiafrio's relatives, not one of mine, from the Cocoon reference last night. But now Tiafrio goes and buys my son this morning McDonald's, and they go together without me in my car. So there's several personal, family, and a privy kind of a way problems I have. Then my son pulls out this gigantic soda about this big, which I have a problem with the sugar and the caramel because I don't want it to harm his family member outfit. And I'm like, Tifreo, if you take my son out and you are the custodian or guardian in that relationship when I am not around to any restaurant, he is not allowed to drink soda. He's just not. It's not good for him. I say, there's fruit punch, there's lemonade, there's other things you could have bought him, but carbonated, caramel, dye, liquid is, and with sugar, is not something I want him to drink ever. Personal choice. I put my foot down. I was like, I expect you as the adult and the person who's there to protect my son to make choices that are good for my son and not good for you while you are out, if you should have the opportunity and the privilege to leave the house with him. That's it. He is so disruptive to my son and my son's health and welfare. It is scary. I don't like other people making choices for my son because I have never met a human who has made an appropriate choice for my child other than myself with some prearrangement, because we have benefited so very little and we have been harmed in so many ways in New York since my arrival. And it's gotten degradedly worse the longer we are here. Now, in this new school district, it's the same school district that I went to, but the one that removed the flag. The school district removed the flag. The school district put up some United Nations flags, which are out of regulation with, I believe, allegedly, I don't know, because I have no family member to actually ask other than the crime scene, whatever, that I arrived to, which don't really have many answers, just the two of them. So now, how do I and where do I report that? And 311 is not the option, because I don't know how that message is actually being relayed in important things. So I have my own personal journal that I witnessed it. I'm documenting it. I need to get it to some form of authority because there's something weird, fishy, funny, and fickle going on that I'm not quite 100% sure of. But there's major, major breaches of security in the local area and elsewhere. And everybody's claiming like innocence. Meanwhile, I'm looking everywhere at crimes. And I'm like, I don't want to see the crimes, but I can't help but notice. And if you don't say anything, I mean, this is getting really frightening. Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It is Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.